What if you could automate network configurations with just 5 lines of code? 92% of network engineers waste hours on repetitive CLI commands, while Python variables and APIs could do it in seconds. In this video, I'll show you how simple variables and REST APIs work together to transform network automation. No programming degree required. Data and variables. The expression HTTP RESTful APIs is composed of 3 elements: a type of interface, which is the word API for a communication interface; a transport protocol, such as HTTP, which is widely used; and a software architecture, which makes it possible to meet the constraints of client-server operation, stateless communication, and also with caching for better performance. Now, we're going to move on to the simple variables. The purpose of a variable is to collect the data, which the program will need to process in order to do its job. Programs process data performing comparisons, by making decisions, by creating new variables, and running mathematical formulas to analyze the data. All of this logic uses variables. The program can process data using logic. For example, it could be said that if a router interface has a dynamic auto switch port, then you should make sure that the interface in question works well as a trunk rather than in access mode. In programming, a variable is a name or label that has a value. To get a general idea of how variables are programmed, we can compare them to algebra equations we had at school. Here's an example, which shows several types of variables in a Python program. So, Python is the most popular language today for writing network automation applications. If there is indeed a language to be interested in for the network, it's the Python. The little program that we see begins with a comment to place between triple quotation marks. Then we have 4 variables that are affected by different values. The value print will display as a result. The product is 6. The result prints the content of the variable title, followed by the calculation x multiplied by y. This amounts to 2 multiplied by 3, which is equal to 6. The variables in the example can be called simple variables because each variable name has a unique value associated with it. List and dictionary variables. Simple variables have many uses, but programs need variables with somewhat more complex data structures. In programming, a data structure defines a set of variables and values. In the example, Python uses list variables that allow you to assign a list of values rather than a single value. One can imagine that a network automation program would want to have a list of interfaces on a device or a list of parameters of an interface. Lines that begin with a sharp are comment lines. Even if you've never seen Python code, you can still guess part of the variable list. This variable is assigned to a list, which contains 3 elements. Python supports a data structure very similar to a dictionary. For example, in a dictionary, each term corresponds to a definition. In the example, the word learn is the term, and the following is its definition. Well, with programming languages like Python, the data structure looks like a dictionary. Terms are keys, and their definitions are values. The example shows the structure of the variable dict. You can see that each key and its value is called a key plus value pair. Data structures can get even more complex, but for now, the main thing is to know that programs use simple variables and also dictionary variables, API REST and HTTP. APIs exist to allow 2 programs to exchange data. The creators of APIs based on REST API, representational state transfer, often choose the HTTP protocol because it uses the same principles as REST. That is to say, it also works with a client-server model, a stateless model, and also a model for caching objects. CRUD, the basis of data management. The software industry uses the acronym CRUD, which is a mnemonic word to define the four main actions performed by an app. C for create, the R for read or retrieve, the U for update, and the D for delete or destroy. Action term CRUD REST, HTTP, create new data structures and variables, create post, read, retrieve, variable names, structures, and values, read or retrieve get, update or replace the values of certain variables, update patch, put, remove certain variables and data structures, delete or destroy delete. The create action allows the client to create new instances of variables and data structures on the server. The read action allows the client to retrieve the value of variables that exist on the server. The update action allows the client to update the value of variables that exist on the server. And the delete action allows it to delete different instances of data variables from the server.